What on earth is going on with the management here? After 2 hours of scrubbing pans in the back of his own diner, the first thing Carter Nettles heard was a sound that broke the monotony. Carter had meticulously crafted the 13-location diner, chained from the ground up, beginning with a humble food truck, dedicating countless nights to the endeavor, often finding rest in the truck itself. Now it had become a genuine enterprise, yet recently an unsettling feeling lingered. Issues were accumulating at the downtown location, delayed orders, discourteous service, and employees leaving in the middle of their shifts. Carter's district manager Todd claimed it was merely a poor hiring cycle, yet Carter remained unconvinced. Thus he assumed a covert identity. He removed his beard, donned tinted glasses, and even altered his gait. He asserted his identity as Rick, a fresh tempie, from the dishwashing agency, and no one seemed to doubt it. None of the employees had the opportunity to meet the CEO face-to-face. The environment was structured, with communication primarily flowing from upper management. At the conclusion of his initial shift, Carter's hands were chafed and his shirt drenched. He remained silent, lowered his gaze, and absorbed every word. As he was stacking trays in the back hallway, he caught snippets of conversation between two servers by the soda station. "I can't believe it. If Whitney pulls that 'you're lucky to have a job' nonsense again, I'm out of here," declared a young woman with freckles, her name tag reading Maya. Likewise, the other one whispered Sarah, if he understood correctly. After I inquired about overtime, she reduced my hours, claimed I was inquiring too much. Carter halted, his hands suspended in the sink, while Maya rested against the wall. Meanwhile, poor Will, having been here for 5 years, still earns less than the newcomers, prompting a scoff from Sarah. "He taught me that's really not right." Carter felt a knot twist in his stomach. Will was the reserved cook, always bustling about with a swift pace. Carter observed that Whitney, the store manager, hardly glanced in his direction. Later that night, Carter perched on a milk crate outside, taking a moment during his break. Will stepped outside for a smoke, offering a courteous nod. "Long shift, huh?" Carter remarked, and Will let out a chuckle. One becomes accustomed to it, or perhaps learns to disregard it. Carter glanced over, and Will merely shrugged, indifferent. "I once did, but they don't, so it is what it is." "Who are they?" "Management Whitney Todd. None of it matters." Will exhaled. "Just trying to make ends meet, man." Carter remained quiet. That struck deeper than expected. The following morning, Carter arrived early. The kitchen lay in disarray with greasy counters, towering stacks of plates, a fryer in disrepair, and oil that had long since needed changing. Clearly, there are health code violations. Whitney sauntered in, a casual 20 minutes behind schedule, coffee clutched in one hand and sunglasses perched stylishly on her face. Without a word of greeting, she snapped, "Rick, clean up that spill by the freezer. I refuse to deal with any lawsuits today." He acknowledged and proceeded with it. No one wore a smile. Everyone seemed to wear a frown as the lunch rush descended upon them swiftly. Orders are piling up and the service has become careless. A customer expressed dissatisfaction with their burger, stating it was undercooked. Whitney offered no apology, merely stated, "We're overwhelmed. If it doesn't suit your taste, feel free to stay away." Later, Carter spotted Maya in her usual spot behind the counter. "You think you're clever, running your mouth during shifts," Whitney spat. Maya stood still, caught in the moment. I remained silent. "Continue to speak out of turn, and I will reduce your hours once more." Carter observed intently from the kitchen entrance. His jaw clenched. That was the end of it. He had witnessed more than enough. As the day drew to a close, Carter removed his gloves, made his way to the dining area, and positioned himself before the staff preparing to leave. "Hey," he said, his voice steady yet authoritative. "Before anyone leaves, I need a minute." Whitney rolled her eyes. "Rick, we don't do announcements. Go clock out." Carter removed his glasses. "I'm not Rick." Everyone froze. "I'm Carter Nettles. I own this place." Silence enveloped the room as Will dropped his spatula. Sarah's eyes widened in surprise. Whitney's mouth fell open in shock, yet no words escaped her lips, while Carter scanned the surroundings. "Arrived here because I was skeptical of the reports. I considered that perhaps circumstances were simply challenging. What I witnessed, what reached my ears, is far more dreadful than I ever envisioned. He glanced over at Whitney. You intimidated employees, showed disregard for customers, and allowed this store to deteriorate. Whitney's voice trembled. Hold on, you're finished here, Carter stated, effective immediately. He faced the room. It was disheartening to witness such treatment today. No one should have to endure that. That transformation begins now. Will appeared astonished. Maya appeared on the verge of tears. Carter let out a breath. He had only just begun, not by a long shot. For the first time in months, a sense of purpose washed over him, as if he was finally on the right path. Carter lingered at the counter, his dish gloves still on, observing the staff as they exchanged bewildered glances. Silence enveloped the scene and stillness reigned supreme. The soft clink of a cup finding its place on a saucer filled the silence of the room. Whitney was the one to break the silence first. Surely you must be joking, Carter stated. I am. Please feel free to gather your belongings. Expect a call from someone in HR by the end of the day. Whitney's gaze sharpened. Her tone became more incisive. I have managed this establishment for more than a year now. You believe you can simply stroll in here? And I don't think Carter will allow that, his voice unwavering. I realized that was everything I required. She parted her lips once more, only to close them again. With a swift motion, she pivoted and made her way to the rear, the sound of her heels scraping against the tile echoing in the space. Carter glanced at the others. If anyone needs to depart early this evening, feel free to do so. Your full shift will still be compensated. If you wish to have a private conversation, I am available. No one stirred immediately. Then he stepped forward, wiping his hands on his apron. Look, he said, his words measured and careful. Our intentions were not to incite rebellion. We simply believed that those in charge were indifferent. Carter acknowledged the situation, but emphasized that it's in the past now. He lingered into the evening, not merely to converse, but to watch intently. As the chairs were turned upside, down on the tables and the final receipts were tallied, 5 employees had accepted his invitation to converse. Initially, he sat with Maya. They selected 2 stools by the window, ensuring their conversation remained private. I never intended to cause any trouble, she murmured, nervously toying with the hem of her sleeve. Carter replied, You didn't. You spoke honestly, and she paused. The journey has been challenging. Some of us take on additional shifts to ensure everything runs smoothly. Yet it seemed that the more effort we put in, the more challenging things became. Carter nodded in response to the inquiries, revealing the outcome of such curiosity. What would be your initial alteration? She opened and closed her eyes rapidly. To be truthful, I wouldn't have inquired if it weren't necessary. She cast a fleeting look in the direction of the kitchen. Distribute shifts in a more equitable manner. Some individuals find themselves trapped in 6-day work weeks, while others are fortunate to receive just 2 shifts and spend their time organizing the storage room. When it rains, the ceiling develops leaks. Last week, an entire box of dry goods was ruined. Carter jotted it down as soon as she rose. Sarah settled into her seat. She was efficient with her time. Whitney would arrange for me to work doubles, but as soon as I inquired about health benefits, she reduced my hours, claiming I wasn't full-time. I inquired about how I could transition to full-time status when my shifts were consistently being cancelled. She advised me to embrace greater flexibility. Carter reclined, taking a moment to gather his thoughts. Do you want to stay here? Sarah blinked. What would motivate you to continue your work here if circumstances were altered? She gazed at her hands, lost in thought. Absolutely. I appreciate the individuals. I enjoy the work. I simply wish to avoid the sensation of being on the brink of losing everything due to a single misstep. Once she departed, Carter lingered in quiet contemplation for a time. He had all the proof he required. A strategy was essential. By the break of dawn, he possessed one. An urgent meeting was convened with the regional HR representative Lisa, alongside the operations lead Malik. In the cramped little office of the store, just enough space for 3 chairs and a desk, they gathered together. Lisa cast her eyes over the schedule affixed to the wall. Whitney is no longer in the picture. She has finished. Carter announced that it took effect last night. Malik massaged his temple. That will certainly create an absence. We currently have 2 additional stores that are already facing staffing shortages. Next, we provide a temporary fill. I will be present on site as the interim GM until we identify a candidate who can lead with confidence and assurance. Lisa arched an eyebrow. You will take charge of the floor. I exist. I need the payroll to be reviewed by the end of the day. I've been hearing that individuals are not being categorized correctly. Make the necessary adjustments. Malik gave a slight nod. What's going on with the kitchen? Carter opened a notebook with a swift motion. Will has been managing everything by himself. I need someone to come in and support him by tomorrow. Not a temporary solution. A person well versed in the standards of food safety and preparation. They began their task. By noon, a new line cook from a different location showed up, and Carter had arranged meetings with all staff members over the following 2 days. Individual interaction. No overseers are in attendance. That afternoon, the inaugural lunch rush under fresh guidance commenced. Carter donned the same uniform, yet this time it featured a name tag that proclaimed Carter, acting GM. He lingered by the host stand, welcoming patrons, polishing menus, and observing the scene around him. When the register became stuck, he took it upon himself to resolve the issue. As the busser fumbled and sent a tray of glasses crashing to the floor, he swiftly grabbed a broom, stepping in to assist with the cleanup effort. He wasn't requested to do so. He simply went ahead and did it. Yet, the most significant change wasn't about him. The issue lay with the personnel. Will began to express himself more frequently. It's not a lot, but it's sufficient to provide immediate feedback to the new cook. Maya shared a subtle joke at the expo line. Even Sarah lingered for an extra 10 minutes after her shift to assist in restocking the condiments. Yet not all things shifted. That evening, Carter spotted a young man in a server apron, Garrett, engrossed in texting behind the counter while customers patiently awaited their refills. He observed intently for 5 minutes. Garrett remained, perfectly still, simply leaning against the wall, absorbed in his scrolling. As Carter drew near, Garrett remained completely absorbed, not bothering to glance up. "Is there something you require?" he inquired, his gaze fixed on his phone. Carter affirmed, "I do. Your emblem." Garrett looked up, a furrow of confusion on his brow. "Excuse me? Your time here is complete. You overlooked 3 tables, and I observed you allowing Maya to take over your section on 2 occasions. Garrett let out a derisive laugh. "It's not a big deal, dude." Carter maintained a calm demeanor. "Indeed it is. When indifference takes hold, it becomes contagious. I refuse to allow that to occur once more." Garrett flung his name tag onto the counter and exited without a single word. That evening, Carter lingered well past closing time, meticulously examining paper schedules and invoices. He discovered 3 occasions where Whitney had cut hours for employees immediately after they became eligible for enhanced benefits. The pattern has been confirmed by HR. He meticulously recorded every detail. The following day, Lisa arrived with official documents regarding the improper adjustment of hours. Revisions to the policies were made to ensure that no single manager could wield complete authority over the scheduling and payroll processes without any oversight. As the week drew to a close, the atmosphere in the diner had transformed. It wasn't flawless. While the night brought no transformations, the once oppressive silence that enveloped the staff had dissipated. Conversations flowed more freely, inquiries were made, and suggestions were offered, with a mix of valuable insights and less helpful ideas. Yet everything was an indication of existence. Carter encountered Will once more, this time in the kitchen, amidst the preparations. Carter remarked that you've been here longer than anyone else. I would like to extend an offer for a kitchen lead position to you. Includes an increase, comprehensive advantages, and influence in recruitment. Will stood still, a paring knife clutched tightly in his hand. Are you really serious? Indeed, he gave a slow nod. Absolutely. Count me in, Carter added. And I need one more thing from you. Will arched an eyebrow. What is that? Can you assist me in locating someone capable of managing this establishment effectively? I will remain here until we accomplish that. Will allowed a smile to break through. I have several names that I'm considering. The bell for the shift chimed. New day begins. Yet for the first time in ages it seemed to transcend the usual routine. A sense of new possibilities lingered in the air. The second week began in the quiet hours before dawn, as the streetlights dimmed outside the downtown diner. Carter quietly unlocked the front doors, switched on the lights and paused for a moment, absorbing the tranquility around him. The atmosphere had shifted, no longer fragile yet still marked by past wounds. The walls bore a heaviness, as if the structure had become accustomed to neglect. He was quick to act. By 6:30 he was already pacing the line while Will went through the preparation checklist. The fryer filters were finally being swapped out, and the new kitchen hand, Tiana, was attentive and swift, yet still finding her groove. Carter observed her as she diced the onions, her head bowed and her movements rigid. "Text, are you from the North Side store?" he inquired, casting a glance at the pile of freshly flattened eggshell cartons she had just dismantled. "No, Uptown," she replied, her gaze fixed elsewhere. "I've only been there for 3 months. Malik summoned me in. It seems you enjoy it there." She paused. "It's perfectly all right," she remarked, more subdued. "However, I'm more than willing to dive in here. It may be a bit disordered, yet there's genuine communication happening among people." Carter gave a slight nod. "If you choose to remain, there are opportunities for development here. It all hinges on your desires." She paused before responding, yet there was a subtle relaxation in her shoulders. That sufficed for the moment. As guests started to arrive, Carter navigated through his morning responsibilities, reviewing inventory logs, keeping an eye on ticket times, and ensuring the registers were adequately stocked with cash. Every task he had previously relied on others to handle. Now he desired to leave his mark on everything. Just before 10, a young man dressed in a hoodie and jeans entered, clipboard in hand, surveying the surroundings. Carter caught sight of him from the counter and gestured for him to come over. Carter inquired about the delivery. The man nodded. "Cisco experiencing this location for the first time. Where is the rear?" Carter guided him through the kitchen, indicating the receiving door with a gesture. Tiana glanced up briefly to offer a swift wave before returning to her task of preparing the potatoes. Carter brushed past Maya at the host stand as he made his exit. With one hand, she deftly refilled the mince and adjusted the tip jar, while the other hand held her clipboard, a testament to her multitasking prowess. "For what's that?" he asked, noting the seating times. "I thought it might help identify where the bottleneck occurs during brunch." He lifted an eyebrow in curiosity. "Text." "That was your idea," she shrugged. "We're currently lacking a dedicated floor lead, so I thought it would be a good idea for someone to take notes." "Continue with it," he remarked. "At the week's end, we'll go over your notes," she acknowledged, and he observed how unprompted she subtly adjusted the floor plan to alter its orientation. It was understated yet clever, providing the less capable server with a gentler segment without drawing attention to it. At 11:30, a new hire arrived for his first shift. He was in his mid-20s, had a buzz cut, and possessed quiet eyes. Carter had gone over his file the previous day. No red flags, solid references, yet there was something about his posture that seemed amiss. He held his arms tightly against his sides, scarcely meeting anyone's gaze. "You really?" Carter asked as he approached the punch-in terminal. The kid nodded once. "You have prior experience in the service industry. Indeed, primarily pizzerias and quick-service establishments." He cleared his throat, a subtle prelude to what was to come. "I may not excel in social situations, but I work quickly." Carter cast a quick look at the server station. "Today you find yourself in the rear, assisting Tiana by preparing and washing dishes. Take your time, simply become acquainted with the kitchen." He offered little in reply, merely giving a terse nod before trailing after Tiana. Carter observed them for a brief moment while she passed him the gloves and gestured toward the sink. She regarded him with kindness, never seeing him as a weight to carry, merely a member of the group. By mid-afternoon, the flow came to a halt. An older gentleman at table 7, dressed in a neatly pressed shirt and tie, signaled for Sarah's attention. She was in the midst of delivering to another table, so she signaled that she'd be there soon. He frowned, glanced at his watch, and remained in anticipation. As she drew near, Carter noticed the man's expression harden. "I've been here for 20 minutes, he remarked. "No refill, no check-in, and now you're behaving as if I'm the one causing a disruption." Sarah expressed her regrets, clarified that they were one server short, and proposed to speed up his order. "I don't care how short you are," he snapped. "I didn't come here to be overlooked by individuals such as yourself." Carter felt a churn in his stomach. The man's voice carried a sharp, deliberate tone. Individuals like you weren't focused on service. It revolved around Sarah's identity, her appearance. Before Sarah had a chance to reply, Carter approached, addressing the man directly as he positioned himself between them. "I'm currently serving as the manager. Please lower your voice." The man reclined. "Perhaps enhancing the training for your staff would be beneficial." Carter maintained a steady tone. "Our team is equipped to demonstrate respect towards every customer, yet they are also instructed to stand firm against personal attacks. Your time here is complete. Pardon me. Your bill will be covered, but I must ask you not to return." He glanced. "Over at Sarah, are you okay?" She nodded, yet her jaw remained clenched. Carter cast a glance over his shoulder at the man. "It's time for you to leave now." The man lingered, softly murmuring to himself before departing without settling the bill. Carter glanced at a nearby busser and gestured toward the table. "Make it clear. Cleanse all surfaces thoroughly. We don't allow that energy to linger within these walls." In the break room, Sarah perched on the bench, a bottle of water in hand, her arms crossed thoughtfully. "I have faced greater challenges," she remarked. "It's not recent." Carter positioned himself opposite her. "That doesn't imply you are obligated to." She averted her gaze. "It's simply a facet of the role." "No," he murmured softly. "It certainly isn't. That's no longer the case." That evening, Carter convened a meeting with just the core team. Only the individuals who truly engaged on the floor, without any district managers or HR in sight. They convened in the dining room, chairs drawn together in a relaxed circle. Carter began, acknowledging the lengthy week, and admitted to having observed everything with great attention. "That will continue unabated. However, this evening I wish to listen to your thoughts. What is lacking? What is it that you desire but haven't received?" Will was the first to speak. "We require an individual to manage the floor operations. Maya is essentially engaged in it at the moment, though she isn't receiving any compensation for her efforts." Carter acknowledged, took note, Tiana contributed. "To ensure the smooth onboarding of new hires, it's essential that we establish a comprehensive kitchen manual. Typical preparation durations, serving sizes, and safety measures. At this moment, it's entirely based on personal recommendations." Maya inclined her body, eager and attentive. Additionally, the registration system continues to record some incorrect clock entries. "This week I've experienced a 15-minute shortage on 2 occasions." Carter glanced over at Malik, who had arrived late and was now silently positioned in the doorway. "Please ensure that is resolved by tomorrow." Malik gave a slight nod. "I've already brought it to the attention of IT." Carter surveyed his surroundings. With a hint of uncertainty, he lifted his hand. "I understand I'm new here, but I would really appreciate it if someone could guide me through the menu. I'm still figuring out what everything is. I sense that I'm holding everyone back." Carter gave a slight nod. "A thorough walkthrough will be arranged. No one is being held back by you. Your journey of discovery is unique." He stood with his hands tucked into his pockets. He remarked that this place has the potential to offer more than merely a paycheck. However, that approach is effective only if you aren't perpetually glancing back. "I aspire to create something truly meaningful and lasting. I can't achieve that without your support." As the crowd began to disperse, Carter held Maya back. He expressed his desire to officially appoint you as the floor lead, a fresh title, an updated salary, and entry to the scheduling tool. You've taken the initiative. Now it's time to formalize it. Maya's eyes fluttered open. "I didn't ask if you earned it." She nodded slowly. "Very well." That evening, Carter lingered once the final light was extinguished, meticulously polishing the glass on the front door with a cloth and a bucket. The street beyond was still and serene. The diner remained a work in progress, with an insufficient number of staff and an abundance of entrenched routines. Yet for the first time, there was a sense of motion, genuine motion. He realized that the only way to navigate the chaos was to dive right in, sleeves rolled up and feet firmly grounded. Saturday morning arrived, shrouded in a soft fog that clung to the windows, while a queue of eager customers began to gather before the doors had even swung open. Carter took it upon himself to unlock the doors, offering a nod to the familiar faces before stepping aside, allowing Maya to seamlessly seat the guests with her characteristic quiet efficiency. The diner was operational, though just hanging on. Carter sensed the tension as the staff hurried about, their movements frantic and hurried. Dialogue truncated, tension palpable. They were managing to keep everything in place but not flourishing. He wasn't looking for miracles, but he did anticipate some advancement. Today, he found himself faced with the necessity of making some difficult decisions. By mid-morning, the dining room buzzed with activity while the kitchen struggled to keep up. Ali was in the thick of it, his shoulders hunched as he struggled to manage the influx of tickets. He darted forward far too swiftly, a tray of diced tomatoes tumbled from his grasp, shattering on the ground. Will pivoted away from the grill, surveyed the chaos, then met Ali's gaze and silently offered him a mop. Carter observed from the pass, devoid of anger or blame, simply a gentle push to recalibrate and continue onward. That exemplified the leadership he desired, yet not everyone was adapting. A wiry man named Nolan had taken Garrett's place as the new server, having come highly recommended by another store. Initially, his shifts were smooth, courteous and on time, but Carter began to observe certain details. Nolan refrained from engaging with Ali unless absolutely necessary, failed to establish any eye contact. As Tanner glided past him with a steaming tray, he moved aside, though a quiet murmur escaped his lips. Carter may have missed it, yet the expression on her face conveyed everything. He lingered, allowing a few more hours to pass. Amidst the bustling lunch crowd, it occurred once more. Nolan strolled by Ali at the dish pit, his voice cutting through the noise just enough to catch attention amidst the clamor. "Have you ever gripped a knife, or do you just admire them in the reflection?" Ali stood still. Tana cast her gaze aside. Carter hit the ground just as the next plate crashed onto the counter. Nolan hardly shifted as he asked, "What did you just say?" "I was just kidding. Please say it once more." Nolan blinked and then straightened himself. "I mentioned he's taking his time, that's all. Do you want the food or not?" Carter kept his voice steady. "Remove your apron. What, you're finished? Go on." Nolan glanced around, half chuckling. "You're releasing me over that? Indeed, at this very moment?" With a moment of uncertainty, he tossed his apron onto the counter and strode out the door. No debate, no regret, merely a door closing behind him. Carter faced Ali. "Text, are you okay?" Ali responded with a brief nod, gaze fixed on the ground. "Step away for a moment and freshen up. Return when you feel prepared. We will proactively assist with preparation without needing to be prompted. Silence speaks through motion." That evening, Carter found himself in the office, engaged in a video call with Lisa, providing her with an update on the incident. He detailed his observations, recounting what he heard and saw along with the reasoning behind his actions. "You made the right decision," Lisa remarked. "A formal report is required, and it has already been prepared," he stated. "I refuse to let that kind of behavior be justified." Following the call, he remained in the office, meticulously examining the figures. Sales maintained a steady pace, yet labor costs were constrained, perhaps overly so. The team operated on a razor-thin margin, and the absence of even one member could unravel the entire shift. He required additional assistance, yet he couldn't merely toss people onto the ground. They required individuals who would align perfectly. The following morning, he summoned Maya and Will to the office prior to opening. He requested assistance with the hiring process. "You have a deeper understanding of this place than I do at the moment. I'd like both of you to join me in reviewing applications," Will said, as he reclined in his chair. "Are you certain?" "Typically, that's something a manager would handle. You'll soon find yourself in a position to lead others." Maya began her journey with a rhythmic tap of her pen against the desk. "We will require some time to prepare whoever we decide to onboard." Carter mentioned that he would rearrange the schedules to create some room. "We will take our time." They set to work. By the week's conclusion, they had introduced 3 candidates for trial shifts. 2 were unable to survive the initial day. The third individual, a woman in her 40s named Janice, exuded a serene demeanor and possessed an impressive recall. She managed a segment during lunch seamlessly. By the end of her shift, even Sarah found herself taken aback. "She glides as if she's been part of this place for ages," she remarked to Carter at the register. Polishing the counter with care, "She possesses a wealth of experience." "Absolutely. She treats everyone with respect." Carter extended an invitation to Janice for the following day. She agreed, and the burden on the ground lifted at once. As circumstances began to settle, Carter finally focused on a task he had long deferred, confronting the aftermath of Whitney's leadership. He examined past schedules, sifted through reports, and uncovered a trend of disciplinary notes recorded without justification, requests for raises overlooked, and time-off requests rejected without any supporting documentation. He convened a meeting with HR and laid out all the details. Lisa perused the files quietly, lost in thought. "This will require some time to tidy up." Carter suggested beginning with reversals. Anyone who faced an unjust penalty will have it removed from their record. "If you overlooked a raise, address it now." "Got it. A new structure is essential here. Eliminate the dominance of a single manager. I envision a leadership duo in each location going forward, with one focused on the floor and the other on the kitchen." Without a doubt, Lisa nodded. "That will significantly increase oversight expenses. Will also enhance responsibility." The following day, Carter discreetly beckoned Will during their preparation time. "I would like you to assume the kitchen manager position on a permanent basis." Will blinked, his eyes momentarily fluttering as if awakening from a deep thought. "Are you really serious? You have been performing the role already." "At this moment, I would like you to possess the title, complete control over your team. You will collaborate with the floor lead to manage the operations of this store." Will gave a slow, deliberate nod. "Thank you for that. You deserve it." He discovered Maya later at the host stand. "You're prepared," he stated. "Comprehensive leadership. Position. Overseeing floor operations. Your voice holds significance at this moment." She gazed at him intently, her eyes lingering on his face. "Are you certain I'm not merely the most acceptable choice?" "I have no doubt you're the finest choice." Though her lips remained uncurled, there was a subtle shift in her posture, a quiet assertion of presence. United, they crafted a fresh timetable. 4 days on, 3 days off, with weekends rotating. Days dedicated to cross-training for servers, eager to explore kitchen work, prepare lessons for those runners aiming to advance. Carter distanced himself from the routine responsibilities, not because he had finished, but because the team no longer required his presence on the line. They required him to clear barriers, not serve meals. On a serene Thursday morning, Carter perched at the counter with a cup of coffee, observing the team as they commenced their tasks independently, without his guidance. Tiana took the initiative to prepare on her own. Illy, brimming with newfound confidence, reviewed the walk-in inventory and promptly flagged a missing delivery before it could escalate into an issue. Janice navigated her area with a serene accuracy. Sarah chuckled at a remark Maya made by the register. It may not have been loud, yet it held a genuine essence. Malik eased into the seat beside him. "Are you returning to the corporate world next week?" "Indeed," Carter remarked. "I have to attend a district meeting. Are you planning to share all of this with them?" "I will inform them that this is the new benchmark." Malik surveyed the room, his gaze drifting over every detail. "The atmosphere feels distinct in this space." "Indeed it is." Carter had said enough. He lingered until the breakfast crowd dispersed, then rose, placed a few bills in the tip jar, and made his way to the door. He lingered just outside, observing the staff through the window as they moved with intention yet without haste. He felt no sense of pride. He sensed a weight of obligation. For the first time in ages, he felt he was truly embodying it. He strolled. Down the street at a leisurely pace, sleeves rolled up, apron tucked under one arm, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee lingering around him. In the background, the diner continued its lively rhythm, not due to him, but rather because of them.